Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Build, Paint, Play. I'm Dave.
Greetings, programs. I'm Jake, and today we're joined by a whole bunch of guests. You might have noticed by all of the cubes that are here beside me. So we have Adam, we have Martin, we have Eric, and they're going to be joining us today to talk about 28 millimeter.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Cool. Jake, just before we go any further, have you got your microphone on?
Yeah, can you not hear me?
I can hear you, but you sound a little bit tinny. Not your full resonant voice. Delightful.
I don't know. I haven't messed with anything.
Okay. It's sounding a little bit better. Maybe it was just me. Might be my hearing. But yes, welcome guys. Thanks for joining us. This is the first time we've had this many guests on. So it's
happy to be here.
Historic. Thanks for having us.
Fantastic. So tonight is thinking, Jake, it's a bit of a special one. I know before we've had some stuff that we've been talking about, some campaigns that we've Kickstarter campaigns that have been running while we've been talking to the person who's created the campaign, that sort of stuff. This is one where I've been working on it with these guys. And a bunch of other wonderful folks from Team 28. So we're going to, I think, jump in fairly quickly. But first off, what we normally do, guys, to start is a quick sort of round the horn of what hobby stuff people have been doing. Mm-hmm. So, Jake, you want to? We'll do counterclockwise. So we'll start with Jake, then go Martin, Eric, Adam, and back to me.
Perfect.
All right. So as the rest of the guys who've been watching the show know, I've been working on a project for Adepticon. I'm building 1,500 points of Imperial Warhounds for Imperialis, or not Imperialis, Zone Mortalis.
Oh, cool.
So it's fun, but like Games Workshop is sold out of everything. So I've been like scrounging for parts. So Dave just sent me a 10-man squad of Mark III Marines because they're sold out. Our buddy Chris Kemig came through and sent me a box of Mark VI Assault Marines because they've been sold out. I was able to get Ben, my business partner, had these.
Oh, hang on a second. There we go.
Yeah, that's fun.
So these have been out of stock for, I don't know, since they came out. And Ben was like, well, how many do you need? And I was like, just enough to do basically 2 squads. And he's like, Yeah, you can. You have to get me this box back, but yeah, you can have this. So got all that stuff, and then, like I said, Dave just sent me very nicely packaged. Dave just sent me a 10-man squad of Mark III Marines.
Nice.
So I'll build those. And then I was digging through my stuff, and I found. I wish these were packaged a little bit better, but I found a pack of dice that all have the Imperial Warhound symbol.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's
on
cool.
the 6s. I got these from Baron of Dice at Nova last year because I was like, at some point I want to make them, and now I'm like, I can use them. So I dug through my stuff and tracked those down. I also picked up a Dremel, and it's the first time I've ever used a Dremel like in hobbying. I've had one before, but it's been years and years and years since I've used one. And I'm converting a bunch of the 40K Khorne Berserkers. I'm going to use a bunch of the parts from them to make a squad of Rampagers. So I was dremeling off all the World Leader stuff and all the Chaos symbols. And
is this the newer ones or the old?
Yeah, it's the new ones. Because they're
it's probably better.
Yeah, well, they're the right scale for because all the new Heresy stuff is slightly upscaled. Like the Mark VI Marines are noticeably bigger.
Yeah.
So that's why I needed the new Mark IIIs that Dave had instead of the ones from the old. Was the Prospero box had them, but they were really tiny. But yeah, so we're getting there. I'm at the point now that I'm still like waiting for some more stuff to come in. I'm waiting on a bunch of like stuff from Pop Goes the Monkey, like some chain axes and stuff and different hands. But once I have I'm almost there. Once I have all the parts, I can now start like assembling and getting everything ready. And then once everything's built, then it's just a race to get it all painted in time for a DevCon. So it should be fun. I think I can do it. I kind of need a deadline. I usually hit the deadline, so it's going to be tight though. But that's where I'm at so far.
What is that window?
Comes fast.
11 weeks.
11 weeks. Wow.
You might be a little less than that, Jake. You might need to recalculate.
5, 6, 7. It's 8 weeks from this Friday, so it's 9 weeks including this week.
Okay.
My goodness.
Awesome. Just quickly, I'm going to say hi to folks in the chat. So we've got Scott, joined us, David, Luis, Josh Sawyer is here. He says, "Is this where the cool kids are hanging for the post-funding party?" Yes, it is. Mike Sevilla is here. Hi, Mike. Josh is here as well. And Scott says, "Scavenging is where it's at. Once saw a slave boy from Tatooine make a pod racer out of nothing but scavenged parts, and he managed to win the Bunta." Scavenge away, my friend. Fantastic. So, cool. Martin, what fun hobby stuff are you working on?
I started kit bashing some stuff today, like a couple days ago for Trench Crusade. I thought the latest episode or issue of Board Games Illustrated has like a German World War II sprue in the bag. And I have some Agincourt Perry historical miniatures, and I thought, I always want to give knights guns, and I thought this was a great opportunity. And I've never played with bolt action miniatures before, but I love them. I'm really impressed. I thought about you guys, the Wiers, because they're always trying to make finer and smaller guns, and these are some of the smallest guns I've ever seen. So they've got like holstered pistols and stuff that is like a scale that you guys would approve of at last. I don't know what I would do with them. They don't really feel like evil enough for Trench Crusade, but maybe I was thinking about like Sludge. Maybe I just won't do anything with them. Maybe I'll just try and get myself to paint them and enjoy what it is with no gaming aspiration.
Is the sprue that was in the magazine, is the sprue a bolt action sprue?
Yeah, it's like winter German infantry. You can build like 8 of them, and it's probably 12 weapon arms.
Nice.
And
their new plastics have gotten a lot better. I think one of the coolest things they have, we had a guy on a couple weeks ago, and one of the best pieces I've seen is there's an Italian infantry, and because you can use them as either partisans, so they're like part of the resistance, or you can use them as like part of Mussolini's like troops. And like there's literally a hand that's like this. And in the instructions, it's listed. So it's like
Do that again now that you're big.
oh, so it's this hey. So there's like pistol arm, like binocular fan, and then there's like Italian gesture. It's literally how the bit is labeled. And I was like, that is the best thing ever. That's a bit that's on this room.
39 Italian gesture.
Oh, so good.
Awesome. So that sounds cool then.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got cooking.
Nice, cool, excellent. Next up, Eric.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I guess I have been. I guess it's kind of hobby adjacent, but I've been spending a lot of time on like photography and editing photos from our Inc. 28 Vestarian event that happened in November last year. That Dave, you were there, Martin, and so forth. And in addition to that, I've been trying to edit and like figure out ways to like print the photos nicely.
Hey.
And like here's one that I actually have one of Martin's miniatures, his warband, but I have been messing around and like experimenting with printing on nicer like art papers and such to see. I don't know. It's nice to see photography on something a little bit larger than your phone.
Yep.
And it's cool to look at photos that way. And it's also somewhat interesting in that like it also is doing it that way. This is much larger than the miniature actually is.
Oh yeah.
But despite that, like it looks really good, and it was a pleasure to have the opportunity to photograph some of this stuff, and also kind of in the process of putting together some blog posts and such documenting that at our blog Between the Bolter and Me, so you can see more of some of that stuff. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but a piece of Martin's artwork that has relevance to the later conversation. But so that's kind of what I've been working on.
Oh, cool.
It's really cool seeing that miniature printed at that size. Like even White Dwarf for 28, you don't see. I don't know. It kind of elevates it in some way where it's flirting with the idea of miniatures being art.
Yeah,
like putting it on that in that other realm that I really like.
Yeah, that's cool.
No, agreed. When you have such like nice miniatures, nice terrain and such, it's fun to be able to share that and document it in a way to just sort of increase that artistic element of it. But yeah,
just having it at that size like brings to mind putting it on a wall in a way that I don't often think about miniature photography. I love these Inc. 28 events also because I seemingly cannot learn how to photograph my own minis, so I just have to wait for the next year for Eric to shoot them, and then I'll get like some great photos of them and wait another year.
Nice. That's cool. Adam, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so similar to Eric, I've been working on sort of documenting some of the stuff from our Vestarian event, but I've also more recently started kicking around with some really old Hammer Chaos Dwarf models.
Oh, cool.
And like these were even before they had like the tall, big hats and everything. Right. So like a lot of these old Chaos Dwarf models, they almost look a little more similar to the now discontinued Forge World Chaos Dwarves.
Right.
And most of them have like slots for like big fancy shields and such. And so sometime last year I sculpted like a little face shield similar to like some of the shields and stuff John Blanche would paint. And sort of the idea is that I will sculpt individual shields for each of the models to like make them more interesting and kind of engaging. So I've sculpted and cast one of the shields, so I have to sculpt a few more, but like I think it's kind of a fun thing to go about doing. And sort of the overall goal is to make like a small Mordheim Chaos Dwarf warband. So since they're so expensive and have all this armor and stuff, I don't imagine I'll be able to get very many models, and they'll probably be really bad in game. But I think they'd be kind of fun.
That's fine.
Yeah.
They'll be
It's more fun.
struggling to climb up ladders.
Oh, it will be a struggle if they have to like go get objectives and stuff. Good luck, but
If they
Don't
can
try to do it.
stand on the middle and defend an objective, they're going to be fine.
yeah,
No diving charges.
For emo last year, I played a Chaos Dwarf warband. There was a bunch of like cuter slayers that I had painted like red and black. Like they'd been a demon had come down into the dwarf hold's forge and poisoned them slowly by corrupting the metal they were working and like working its way into their dwarven minds. But I refuse to play a dwarf warband. Like 3 move is the most brutal thing you can have in Mordheim. It ruins every bit of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of not fun.
I think you should just find something else to proxy, like Beastmen or something. Something that's like hard hitting and tough, but has 4 move at least.
Well, I didn't even think I wanted to have a lot of guys with like rifles and stuff, which that's probably also a mistake. But we'll see.
That is a cool period. So they weren't like coded to be Middle Eastern yet? Or like
so on their little tabs, on one side it says Marauder, and on the other side it says C, D, and then a number. So Chaos Dwarf like 2, Chaos Dwarf 3. So I think I have right here Chaos Dwarf 6, 5, and I think 4. But they had quite a number of them. They're a little tricky to find nowadays. But I'll probably try and search for some other ones. But they're pretty wonky looking models. There's not a lot going on with them.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Kickstarter? I think Colty had something to do with it. They were like Chaos Dwarves that are more like Chaos Warriors.
Yeah, I back that.
Oh, yeah. I bet you did.
So that would be honestly a good means of getting some additional Chaos Dwarves and stuff. And they are also sort of in a similar vein and look to these Chaos Dwarves here.
I think my favorite Chaos Dwarves are probably the guys that used to come with the old metal Hell Cannon.
Oh, they're cool. Yeah, they're really cool.
They don't really fit the vein for like classic Chaos Dwarves because they don't have big hats, but they have the same aesthetic as all the when they updated the Chaos range. They have the same look as the Chaos guys, but they're very clearly dwarves. Like they were awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of what a lot of these ones look like. They don't have like the twirly big beards with the tall like smokestack hats. None of these have those.
Oh, that's cool. I think they're good. Excellent. So I'm gonna throw me up there. Woo-hoo. I've been getting ready for the Kickstarter launch for 28 Collected, so that's been chewing up a lot of my time. But I did paint up some minis that I have in one of the presentations a little bit later, so we can check those out. But
nice.
To the 28 Collected Kickstarter and the Trench Crusade Kickstarter. So otherwise, I was going to say before, Eric, you mentioned Between the Bolter and Me. I have Between the Bolter and Me linked in the notes down below.
Oh, thanks.
Check that out when they are ready, after they've gone and clicked like and subscribe and all the other wonderful things.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how we work it into our show. The other thing we should do as well, Jake, is we need to say thank you very much to our sponsor, the season sponsor, the Army Painter. We had Adam from the Army Painter on last week, and so you can go back and check out all the cool things they've got going on. Take a look at the Army Painter Challenge that they had. They ran at LVO. Yeah, we're going to be working with them during the year, particularly at San Diego Comic-Con, the end of July, beginning of August.
Oh, cool.
Is that right? I think can pull up the exact dates.
Does Comic-Con normally have like a wargaming hobby presence?
So not really. I think a lot of the pop culture shows and Comic-Cons have started realizing that like the gaming the gaming segment is a growth industry for them or area for them. So even like shows that friends of mine go to down south that I've never like heard of or done, they're starting to do the same thing. Like there's a big one that's in, oh god, our buddy Jan Kotrup from Tectonic Studios was talking to me the other day, and there's a big one that happens in like the Twin Cities, like St. Paul, Minneapolis, and I think it's called like MomoCon or something, and it started off as like anime pop culture, but now they want to do like paint and take and RPG and like a board gaming area, and like and I was like, oh, that's crazy. He's like, yeah. So I think a lot of them are kind of leaning into that. So a couple years ago, a friend of ours has worked for Comic-Con forever and reached out to Dave and I and wanted to know if we'd be interested. And this will be our third year going.
Cool.
But yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's definitely different. Like Dave and I do a lot of like wargaming shows. So like he does Historicon, we both do Adepticon, we both do Nova. I've done LVO before, like so we're used to like that kind of show, and it feels a lot different than that kind of like show. Just because there's so many other fandoms that are there.
Are they approaching it? I mean, with wargaming and hobbying, it feels like there's a nice amount of everybody's bringing their own thing to it, where they're like, but I guess that happens with cosplaying. I don't know. How can you describe anything that like sticks out that's different about it? I've never been to one.
I would say that at the moment, particularly for San Diego Comic-Con, it's still very small. The wargaming, the wargaming / tabletop gaming aspect is still quite small compared to the pop culture aspect of it. So I don't think people aren't coming to it for tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
So what stands out is that almost everybody that we talk to has never seen it before.
Oh, that's cool.
Has never understood that it exists as a hobby. So I think over time, each of them will probably develop their own particular spin or little additional quirky thing that only they do. But at the moment, I think for a lot of those, it's still sort of growing.
There's a lot of D&D crossover. Like, I mean, that's how I got started painting miniatures, was painting D&D miniatures. So there's a lot of people come in and it's like, oh, I got my kids the D&D character set, or they're painting up their characters. So there's a lot of that when we do our lessons. We get a lot of people who are like, that's typically most people's like, oh, I've seen this before, and that's usually where they've seen it. And a lot of people will be like, oh, I've heard of Warhammer, but when Dave and I are doing the classes and the lessons and stuff, we're not really doing a Warhammer lesson. It's more like, this is how you paint this miniature, and you can use these techniques on whatever. You can use them on your board game pieces or converting a toy or whatever. And we've been really lucky. Like we had some miniatures donated by Simon. So we had the chibi like superheroes, the Marvel superheroes. And those are awesome. Like they're super fun to paint. Like they're a great like sort of first model for somebody, I think, just because there's a lot of character to the miniature itself, and there's a lot of detail. So if we're using Army Paint or Speed Paints, for example, it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. So you feel really accomplished when they're done. It's a nice like, hey, you can do this to people who are painting for the first time. So
just quickly, Scott has asked in the chat, or he said in the chat, I pre-ordered my Blanche sets, Dave. Putting you on the spot, would you mind making up the Dave Taylor curation? A list of paints or washes, whatever, from Army Paint that you endorse. I will do that for next week. That I have a list. I'll get a photo of them.
Nice.
I won't do it on the spot now because there'll be too much rummaging and.
Dave, can you link again to the YouTube channel so I can see the chat?
Sure. Hang on a second. Actually, if you just go,
if you click on the right-hand side where it says comments in the chat, you can switch it from private to comments, and you can see it all.
Oh, yeah.
In StreamYard.
The private chat option.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
StreamYard is nice.
I promised I wouldn't touch my iPad in fear of turning it off. I want to know what's going on.
Yeah, just before the show, we had almost like a Patrick Keith sort of incident where Martin was in.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Also, saying hi to Patrick. I know that he's in the chat now.
Patrick. I think Patrick still holds the record for we've had Patrick on as a guest more than anyone else.
Yeah,
all in the same episode,
all in the same show. But Scott also said I'd asked Jake for his 10 army painter 10 paint army painter curation. It's just spray cans of primer.
No. It's 2 to
procrastination.
3 cans of primer for Zenithal, and then a bunch of washes and dry brushing.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, we should probably jump in now into the presentation, and let's see where all of our little heads end up when we press this button. There we go.
There we are.
Oh, you guys are like less than $500 away from doubling your original goal.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good. So yes, I have to look this way, right?
Yeah, you're otherwise you're behind your logo.
Yeah, just there you go. Just lean to your left.
Yeah,
the whole time. Go.
Okay, so yeah, we're super excited. Earlier today, so about 7.5 hours ago, we launched the Kickstarter for 28 Collected, so physical book, 320 pages, all sorts of cool stuff, and we funded in an hour, which is really exciting. We're now 7.5 hours away. We're almost double funded. We've got a fairly short campaign. We're running this for 2 weeks. So our real jobs over the next 2 weeks are to make sure that everybody who wants the opportunity to think about picking this up gets the chance to see the campaign, which will be good. But yeah, it's been a crazy busy day, and I'm feeling kind of stressed, but in a good way, though, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to ask Adam and Eric and Martin on tonight to talk about I guess 28 magazine, where that came from, how we ended up with a situation where we had, I guess, over 1,000 pages of cool articles to choose from, to put together for 28 Collected. I've got a lot of spreads from the book that we can sort of flick through as we're talking, and we've got some cool artwork from Martin as well. So who wants to start, Eric or Adam?
Yeah, I can jump in here. Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy that it's 28 has been around as long as it has now. I feel maybe the first issue was released in maybe 2018. And I guess it started a little bit earlier than that, but primarily a conversation between Alex Winbury and James Sheriff. They kind of had this idea of, wouldn't it be neat to put together a magazine that kind of celebrated the, I guess, Inc. 28 style creation of miniatures, but then Mordheim and some of these less mainstream elements of the Games Workshop hobby, but also just the miniature hobby as a whole. And I think particularly because around that time was when White Dwarf had pretty much officially killed their Blanchitsu articles in the magazine. And that, I think, to all of us was one of the elements of Games Workshop's magazine that was most interesting, because it kind of harkened back to Games Workshop of like yore, the 90s and so forth, where a lot of people would kind of just do what they liked with the hobby. They would create things that weren't just directly depicted in a rule book or a codex book. And yeah, thought like maybe we could do something similar, but just engage with the community and get people to submit articles to be able to release for free, just as a nice digital magazine, to encourage other people to get involved and sort of tap into their creative side of the hobby and not necessarily feel restrained to just paint exactly like the heavy metal team's paint schemes for Ultramarines, or whatever you're working on. And Alex then contacted the three of us because we had been kind of going back and forth for years, just met through our blog and other kind of Inc. 28 related events and so forth. And that was the start of it. And now there are 6 volumes of it. And now upcoming a printed version, which I think has been something that ever since the magazine was even announced, people were kind of clamoring for a printed version of this because I don't know, it's nice to not have to look at another screen in your life.
I agree.
I know.
Yeah.
I know when I saw the first issue, when the first issue dropped, I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic! Where's the link to be able to buy the printed version?" What?
Yeah.
There's no. Oh, I got to wrap my head around this.
Yeah, because I know. Well, I would like to think not everybody's like looking at the magazine on their phone, but like even I find myself reading through some of the articles on the phone, which even that's like kind of a poor substitute for like a tablet or something like that. But it can be hard to appreciate a lot of the imagery and stuff on those like smaller, like digital formats. So this will be nice.
And even how you're displaying it there, Dave, a lot of the magazine was designed to be viewed with like 2-page spreads. Sometimes a whole image spans across 2 pages, or at the very least, the pages and images are set up that it's best viewed that way. And even with like an iPad, a tablet of some sort, you can't necessarily do that. Or if you do, they're still pretty small. So there's nothing like just having a printed version.
Yeah. And I think it feels the most true to like 28 as a movement. When we were in Texas, I think it was the first time I had heard anybody call it an art movement, but it really rings true to me as, you know, it's about hobbying and making miniatures and telling stories, but in a very, I think like in an aesthetic and artistic way. I don't know, not to sound pretentious, but I think there's something about like putting a little bit more of yourself into it, or trying to say something new with it that feels particularly 28, like this little niche community, and having a physical version of that looks nice and is glossy and physical, like that you can hold, really feels like it does justice to the, I think, stunning work the community has done. And the magazine is all community driven, where we take submissions from people. They'll pitch us articles or projects they've worked on, or like artist highlights, and then we help make sure that that's presentable or cohesive with the magazine. So it's, I don't know, in that way that also feels like an art movement, that it's this collective vision.
I think it's felt like an art movement for quite a while, because for me it has, at least, in that it started off as people taking something that Games Workshop had created that pushed the boundaries of understanding of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, the Inquisitor game, and pushing that a little bit further and taking it into something that was perhaps a little bit more accessible by playing that game with 28mm miniatures, and then adapting it to a rule set that was a little bit easier to work with, or to come out, or to operate with like a larger group of people. And then that invitation to create is a major part of it, and it's now no longer just ink where it's 40K focused. There's so much that has evolved and pushed sort of out beyond that. And it's that, for me, it's that idea of creating the art within, creating art that pushes the boundaries of what you can do with toy soldiers, or wargaming concepts, or wonderful, fantastical lore kind of thing.
So yeah, another thing that I feel coming into like the start of the 28 magazine as well was sort of the notion of just trying to sort of broaden the appeal to people, because I know when my brothers and I had worked into playing some narrative events in 28 games and whatnot, we'd often a lot of people would be asking, like, how are you to get into something like this? How can I do something like this? So the magazine was sort of a means to sort of show you can kind of get into the movement however you want, whatever you're interested in. You can probably find a whole series of people all over the place that are interested in a similar thing, and just encouraging people to put their stuff out there, submit things, I think has been pretty important for the movement in general, to just encourage people to be engaged and sort of create what they would like to see.
Yeah, and it's not just like 10 of John Blanche's friends. Like anyone can submit stuff to this and kind of push it forward and evolve it, and even just put a bit of themselves into it. Like it's not just like Mordheim or just 40K. Like people, they have some articles about photography. It's a subject I'm quite interested in, and how you can put that to photograph your miniatures, or even kind of create artwork and scenes through that, as well as different, obviously, articles on painting, but even just discussions of our miniatures and painted miniatures art, yes or no, and just lots of interesting, like up on the screen, examining how like folk tales and folk horror, some of those themes, how they can be explored in miniature form, incorporating different aspects of folklore, but then even like kind of movies that emphasize kind of these folky elements and whatnot. And I think watching the movement as a whole expand over time as more people submit things and put their own interests into it and spin some of these elements to like things they're interested in, I think it's been really fun, and it's been gratifying to watch it expand and kind of become a thing of its own and move past just like Inquisitor, even though that still always has a place in my heart.
Sure. Just quickly, in the chat, Scott asked, does it feel, I don't know, more gratifying that it's turned into a physical product versus an e-zine?
I would say, yeah, it's nice to finally be putting it into a physical form, because it was always I kind of always thought of it that way. And to be honest, like after each digital issue was released, the 2018 would often have a printer print a few volumes of the issues just to send out to the team to look at it, be able to look at it in that physical form. And we've always also encouraged people, provided it's not for like commercial purposes, if you want to print it out yourself or send it to a printer to get a copy or two, such as you can do that. Obviously, that's something, you have to do yourself and put money into it, but it's something that we've always been open to, and I think it does make a difference, and it's fun. It's nice to have an actual artifact that you can look at or show to other people that isn't just like passing around a phone.
Yeah, related to that, I think the idea of the 28, the magazine in general, is just giving people new ways to engage with the hobby. So in some regards, this physical product is another way to like engage with it and kind of like experience the hobby in general. So here's like one of the volumes that we had printed.
I got to show my nephew one of the printed volumes. He's 7 and he's obsessed with Warhammer right now. He's going through my brother's armies and just painting anything he can get his hands on. And it was so cool getting to have I think it was maybe issue 3 or 4 that Alexander and the team had sent me, and getting to show that to him. If I had been like, oh, you can look at this on my phone or whatever, it would be so less impactful. I think it's incredibly gratifying. I'm so happy to see the team come together and all the work that's happened to make it a physical object. I think it elevates all the work that everybody's put into it over the years.
Yeah, I can't think of honestly a better person than you, Dave, to help do this, because as many people know, you've helped put out a whole series of books sort of celebrating different artists and whatnot, each of which kind of has a different means of approaching the hobby in general. So I think this is very much in line with that, and we're very thrilled.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry, just quickly in the chat, Josh says, I'm a bad person because I haven't looked at the Kickstarter page. Is this under the auspices of DTM? It's of course linked down below. I think it's the so you can go and check that out, Josh. But yeah, don't beat yourself up too much. Just head over and check it out.
Yeah, it hasn't even been 24 hours.
For the origins of 28, I got in on the second issue, I think, and I'm struck by how how the timing seems so good in some ways, that it felt like it was during this kind of resurgence for a lot of people of reconnecting with the hobby, and how I think sometimes it's alienating to people because they don't know what rules system is going to be used, or they don't know what the 28 movement is about. It can be poorly defined at times, but I think there's also a freedom of kind of having the shared language that GW creates, but not being beholden to it.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot as a kid, and then there was like 15 years of not doing any hobby stuff. And then as I was getting back into it and playing Mordheim again, like 28 came onto my radar in Mordheim 2019. And it just seems like such perfect timing. Maybe it's not coincidental. Maybe they informed each other, but it's really nice to be in this very rich moment in hobbying gaming history, where so many people seem comfortable taking it in a lot of different directions and making their own voice with it. And that's been really cool to see.
I think that's a sort of a key point that you've got there, is that there are a lot of people who are comfortable and in situations where they have that shared language through a particular game, like a focus of a game. It could be Warhammer, it could be Marvel Crisis Protocol or Star Wars Legions or something like that. But the look on people's faces when they're trying to just before they have that breakthrough moment of understanding that sort of the 28 sort of movement is about that freedom, the freedom to do what you want, and come up, bring those ideas, bring your ideas, tell stories, all that sort of thing, going from how do I do this within this context to how can I can do it however I want. Great.
Yeah,
that sort of the light bulb moment really for people is wonderful to see.
Yeah, I think the magazine, or continue, Martin.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the magazine can be nice to give people sort of a permission structure to branch out and do things that they've maybe been considering, and not be too precious, and be somewhat brave about pushing your own hobby and creative process forward. And I think that's fun to be able to see such a diverse set of people, illustrations they do, miniatures they create, paint, all that sort of stuff. And I think, it's nice to have been able to put it together and showcase so many creative people.
Sure.
Yeah, and it creates like this kind of nexus of people finding each other and being inspired, and then going on to inspire other people. I think it's an awesome kind of self-feeding machine.
Right. Yeah.
Martin, I really like your art. It's like a happy place between like John Blanche and like Redwall.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was a really fun. It's cool getting to see an artist focus in the magazine that is really centered on this role-playing game project I was working on. That's on the back burner right now, but it's called Mossweave. It's like a grim medieval animal role-playing game set in a world where there are these massive, sometimes predatory, sometimes just apathetic forest spirits, like massive gods who sometimes care about animals and sometimes just want to wipe them out because they've like strayed from the path of balance. So there's a lot of that work in my artist focus, and definitely Redwall is a big inspiration. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
Just quickly, as we've been sort of flicking through these, they're back here, the Rod of Hondius. This was an event put together by Bill Ford, who worked with Adam and Eric and Greg to run Vastarian, which is in Houston. But Martin was also illustrated this article.
Yeah, I helped run that event too. That was like kind of my first introduction in Richmond. I was on the road traveling and tattooing with my girlfriend, and I knew we were going to be in Richmond, and I wanted to run an event, so we started trying to plan it. And it was like my buddy Mike, Gundam Official, was in Richmond, so he set up the library we ended up putting it in. But it was me and Bill trying to organize an event in a town that neither of us lived in at the moment. But it was super fun. It was a really good time. Excellent. And like, I think just in keeping with the 28 theme, it was kind of trying to push the boundaries of what or where an event could be, like how open can it be, how accessible can you make something. So we intentionally, I found a library with a big, beautiful meeting room in order to like host something that didn't cost any money for the organizers or the people attending. There was no like ticket price. And then we just had like librarians and people from the community wandering in and be like, what is this? It was really in a kind of trying to explore models that especially people could copy around the country. Like not everybody can rent out a VFW or a game store, but everybody has libraries, and just trying to create something that could be duplicated for people to tell their own stories and have that kind of fun.
It also came together very quickly, literally only a few months from when it was like announced and when it happened. So I feel it also, depending on what you plan and whatnot, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a multi-year or a year-long effort. I think you can be surprised with like if you put something forward, there will most likely be people who are very interested in trying to engage and participate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly if you have a cool and engaging setting like this for the Rod of Hondius certainly did.
Thank you. Yeah, and it really helps if you got Bill Ford because he's a maniac who is very good at organizing and very generous with his time.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I wanted to flick back to as well is when we were talking about 28, the 28 movement and magazine and 28 Collected. John Blanche, of course, is right there at the genesis of it all, I guess. And obviously, people have been hearing his name a lot over the last 6 months, 12 months after his retirement from Games Workshop. So, and I think we'll be hearing his name quite a bit more over the coming years.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, very excited that that his interview is in there. John was able to give us a piece of art for the cover, so it's a cool piece of John Blanche art that we have.
Pretty rad.
So excited about that. But also, people would have seen it there as well. Ian Miller, so another
legend.
Classic, yeah, another legendary sort of grimdark artist.
They both like do that same thing of taking fantasy art, like the shared language of it, and then pushing it into new directions that you can recognize but haven't seen before. And you're like, oh, it doesn't. You don't need to be aiming for realism you can do this freaky abstraction, and it's really effective, and it like provides something new, and I could do something similar to that. Like it has like a very punk DIY thing to it as well, where it's not like everyone's not aiming for the exact same like crystal clear production value of high-end studio gear, like virtuoso guitars. You're enjoying like the wide variety of like skill and experimentation and being weird. Like Ian Miller and John Blanche both are just so incredible.
Yeah.
Not just for the work they did, but the way they like, for me personally, like broke the rules. So then I could be like, oh, I could do that. I could, yes, I can break my own rules and find like places to push on the wall.
Yeah. And I think it's that kind of thing. That's what I was talking about before with that pushing the envelope, pushing the boundaries. And so talking about John and Ian doing it with art, and doing it with looking at ways to do it with gaming, with painting miniatures, with what you use miniatures for. I think we've got some further along. There are some great stuff. I included this spread because I love the Marcelo photographs all these miniatures on a vibrant orange background.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
Evgeny is Pax Acrylica on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And so if you haven't checked out Pax Acrylica on Instagram, definitely go and check him out.
What an incredible sculptor.
Yeah. And I think you guys, Adam and Eric, you guys interviewed him for Dragged into Turbo Lasers, your podcast?
Yeah, no, we did. Yeah, so people can maybe try to find that old episode. But he was really fun to talk to, and I feel he's very fearless, trying to push and create interesting things, and not afraid to do a lot of sculpting to reach those like kind of creative ambitions. And his painting is very atmospheric and distinct. I think he uses a bunch of like oils and things to paint them relatively quickly, but has just a lot of contrast and saturation that's just really, really cool.
Yeah. I'm of course looking at this spread here and realizing that it's on the second spread that most of his more sort of contemporary pieces that folks would recognize from Instagram is on that spread. But of course, I can put that in there.
You can definitely see the saturation there, though.
Yeah, you can.
And the contrast, like even at this size, they read so well.
Yeah, this intense sort of vermilion is incredible. But Chris Gawker has joined us. Hi, Chris. Thanks for joining us in the chat.
I think that's a cool thing that 28 does really well as well as like trying to explore those like quiet moments or human moments that can get lost in the main GW products when you're looking at like massive 40K battles.
Yeah.
Like scenes that we're looking at there.
Oh, sorry.
Really, it's thoughtful, it's human. It's not like a heroic general. And I think 28 really shines in the way that it can examine the scum of the earth or the little people, and really it helps bring so much humanity and depth to the worlds where we get to play in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things so I'm going to flick through. We'll come back to Vastarian for a second, but this article in their non-combat tabletop, I think, speaks to that as well. Talking about looking at ways that we play with miniatures, like so many of us we came into wargaming, and so we realized, okay, so the miniatures have to move, they have to shoot, they have to fight. That's what they do, and then you have to achieve, which might typically be wiping out your opponent. But looking at tabletop gaming as something that isn't that doesn't involve combat is just a wild idea, and I really love this this article. But
has anyone here ever played a non-combat tabletop game? Like one of the ones I know we host on the website, a couple of them. I've never actually.
I mean, Martin, at last Adepticon, you created a really weird one that involved dreaming. I've done that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was called Dream 28.
Yeah,
it was like a piece of paper I'd drawn a bunch of different birds and goblins and freaks on, and then you would roll a d12, and whichever one you landed on, that is what you would dream about, or you were supposed to dream about that night. That's true. That's not combat. Nobody dies.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how the dream goes, right?
yeah. Mine all went very well.
Oh, good.
Excellent. But yeah, I think it's such a cool idea. So I'm glad that we included this article in the book.
I think it also kind of, at least to me, speaks a bit to the intersection of miniature wargaming and just role playing as a whole. Like, and certainly a lot of role playing, D&D and so forth, will have combat and so forth, but that doesn't always have to be the crux of a particular RPG session. A large part of that is like character interaction and so forth. And a lot of people now do play their role playing games with miniatures and such to more granularly realize certain situations and so forth. And I think this is the non-combat stuff is kind of a nice way to kind of explore elements of things like that. And there are still interesting situations and things that you could imagine playing out that don't necessarily need to have combat shotguns and great swords.
It doesn't. The mechanics don't have to be roll to hit, roll to wound, roll to save. So, yeah, I think that's a sort of a very exciting sort of aspect of it there.
I've been trying to get up to you guys up north to play a day of gaming. We should try and play a non-combat game.
Yeah, it's true.
Somebody could learn Fishing 28.
I was going to suggest apple picking 28, but
oh yeah,
fishing,
I'm open to any.
But yeah, there are lots of, again, amazing things, and I was mentioned before that there's content about we were talking about pushing that envelope about what you can do with miniatures that doesn't involve wargaming or doesn't involve gaming at all. But on this piece here, Giovanni's part of an art studio and has created this sculptural collage using.
Dude, that is insane. I just realized the scale of that. I thought it was a bunch of little models, and I was like, wait, that's Archeon on the top. I was like, that thing's huge.
Yep. You got Archeon, you've got Mortarion.
Yeah.
You've got some of the
big.
The Stormcast models. You got like a Blight drone over here.
There's a bunch of the dragons. Yeah, I see Blight Lord, Nurgle Blight Lord on the far left there.
Yep. So this is a real live human face in the middle here.
Wow, they killed somebody. That's like dedication. You're right. They just chopped his head.
This person's still alive.
Put it in there.
But it is this incredible headdress. But
it must be so heavy.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely ridiculous to wear. But that people are taking those elements, taking those pieces that already exist as a miniature sculpture, and creating something else sculptural from it is kind of amazing. That's again talking about that, pushing the boundaries, pushing the understanding of what you can do, which is amazing. I think in this article as well, Giovanni's done some like a knife, fork, and spoon. So something as simple as that and incredibly sculptural. And working with this, which is pretty wild. Scott said, "Yes, that's a crazy expensive statue."
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would like to see its bits box. That's what I would say. But yeah, Josh, very much like a Fashion Week concept piece without a doubt. And Cal says, I'm not going to try that. I would say that probably like nobody who sees this is going to try it.
Yeah.
But that's again a different thing from appreciating it.
I would love to see that like in person and get a closer view of like all what's going on, because it's very striking from this vantage point. But I think it would be also very cool to kind of get a closer look at how it all comes together and whatnot.
Yeah. Yep. I would definitely love to see that and see the process.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be great. And also we have a article in there from Mike Francina, created Trench Crusade with a lot of fantastic pieces of art. So I think this was in volume 5.
I think it was 3, way back in volume 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was a ways back, but I think, we kind of got James Sheriff got in contact with Mike, wanting to interview him to be sort of the feature artist in that particular volume. And then that kind of just one thing led to another. James sculpted a bunch of his creations for this sort of nascent IP, which kind of turned into Trench Crusade, and now has had a whole bunch of Kickstarters. There's a game involved with it that, it's really...
was volume 4. He did the cover for
Isn't-
volume 4.
I don't think that's his.
Or wait.
I think
Isn't it green? That's not his.
Yeah.
When we were going around and talking about our hobby work, I don't know if it counts, but I'm getting to do some work for the Trench Crusade rulebook.
Oh, cool.
Other than putting together historical minis right now, I've been trying to do a bunch of paintings for that, which has been super cool. It's a very fun world to play around in.
Yeah, without a doubt. Nice. Loads of great. Sorry, we'll let's have a chat about this piece.
Oh yeah.
So we mentioned this earlier, and Eric showed a photo, his printout of it. But
so that was an article interviewing Andy Chambers, who was responsible for a lot of directing Games Workshop during the most significant periods of my youth when I was consuming it, like 3rd edition, 40K. I think he was the overfiend. He was in charge of directing the 40K side of the studio. He also helped to write he wrote the first Skaven Army book, and famously had a Skaven Army that I think stood out a lot at the time because it was dirty and grimdark, when a lot of the painting convention was leaning brighter colors and more saturated bright hues.
Yep.
So we
talking about the red phase.
What's that?
You're talking about the red phase.
Yeah.
We were all there for that.
Yep.
So we interviewed him, I think, for issue 2, and I illustrated it a while ago. And then while putting this together, we decided that I should rework those illustrations, and Dave helped me put me in contact with Andy, so I got to ask him about that army, and if anything really stood out, if there were any models he really liked or had stories around in his head. And he sent us this photo of Morse Guitar, his rat warlord, who had a long spear and is on top of a rat ogre. And it's one of the most fun things I get to do as an artist, is taking somebody's passion project or something they've put a lot of time into and putting my energy into and trying to bring it to life in a new view. And is getting to do that with Andy's work, somebody who's undoubtedly affected my imagination and the way my brain grew up picturing things and the world I was obsessed with, is so cool and so humbling. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Is Andy Chambers? I think he might be at least partially involved in Trench Crusade 2 now. Did I see
Yeah,
that?
yeah, he's doing like passes on the rule balances. I think
Yeah,
he's looking at it as
that's
a
fun.
designer.
That's fun. Oh, and actually, yeah, Adam, you were right. It was Volume 4 that Mike was interviewed. I misremembered. Too many issues.
All good. Should actually let's go back just quickly and talk about Dastarian. So
I'm excited that we're having an article in this about Vastarian, which is a kind of an Inc. 28 setting that we created that really wanted to emphasize some of the stuff like Martin, you were talking about, how some of these 28 adjacent things can really celebrate and explore the more human element of some of these settings. And this was something we wanted to create, a setting that primarily focused on religious zealots and kind of meek, weak humanity in the 40K setting, all of which that are try to celebrate the emperor in their own unique kind of messed up way. But while creating that setting, we wanted to encourage other people to get involved in it and create their own weird cults and try to embark in this Inc. 28 journey by suggesting how they could incorporate rule sets that they enjoy to play their own narrative style games without being too caught up in like what rule set are you using, like what's the official thing, and just be creative and jump into doing some of this stuff if you haven't before already. So the article talks a bunch about that and has some of Martin's great artwork, as well as a whole host of photos from an event that we played in the setting last November in Houston that Bill Ford helped us run and Martin did some artwork for. But yeah, so I'm excited that this will be in the collected version. We'll be able to display some of the nicer photographs that we captured trying to just show how some of these concepts of 28 can be brought together to play some games and craft interesting stories and narratives with friends from all over the place.
Yeah, and Dave, you came down for that.
We
We
were
all
happy you
traveled to
attended.
Texas. That was the first time I got to meet Dave, and like a couple real hobby heavy hitters that I've admired for a super long time and have never met in person.
Yeah,
it was so cool.
I'm glad it wasn't disappointing for you.
Oh no, you weren't. You're a real gem. What was? Remind me what your cult was, Dave. So everybody made a cult that venerated the emperor in some particular way.
Yeah. Oh, of course you put me on the spot, and it just ran straight out of my head. They're sitting in a box just right over there.
Yeah, and
the cult of the light bringer. The cult of the light bringer.
Oh, okay.
So I had mine were basically former inmates of an asylum who are wonderfully feral and ready to charge across the board and sort of try and tear you apart with their flimsy hands and pointy spears.
Yeah, there were so many wretches in this game, and very, very few strong, strapping heroes. Just a bunch of miserable, emaciated wrecks.
Yeah, absolutely.
The way it should be.
Yeah, a very evocative way to be.
One of the things I'm going to just quickly show up in the corner.
Oh yeah,
nice. Yeah.
Guy with the wings.
Dave, make yourself big. Don't do that. You're like a thumbnail of a thumbnail.
It is just like that, isn't it? Let me. There we go. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah, what a beauty.
Nice.
Crazy.
Was this Scourge conversion?
So this one, I'm not sure what the original parts are from. I think you could be right there, Jake.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
a dark
some
elder
of them
scourge.
are. Yeah.
At least the legs.
Yeah, the legs
the
and the
wings.
wings, those are dark elder scourges.
Yeah, but that one was
Hydra made them.
yeah, built by
Mhm.
Hydra. So Simon Schnetzler, who goes by Hydra on Instagram, he lives in Germany. He painted up a cult and shipped it to the guys, and they split it in two and raffled off both halves at the event. And I was lucky enough to win the half with that with the saint in it. It happens to appear in this part of the
Article.
Yeah, next to a crazy lighthouse that was created for the event by Witchhammer Studio. It's this really large lighthouse board, and yeah, you can kind of get a somewhat of a sense of the scale there by the little wing guy. That's just kind of the top of the lighthouse with the Fresnel ends, but then there's the rest of the body of it. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. And yeah, that stood sort of over 6 feet tall, and the like from the floor to the top there. Just quickly in the chat, I do have to read this out. Scott has said, if I had to ask Andy Chambers a question right now, it would be, what's the wildest hat you've ever seen? And he'd be thinking Elton John's Yellow Brick Road. And I did that hat, talking about the one that, and he said, and then we just stare at each other in silence for the rest of the night, sipping our beers. The why of things. Fantastic. But yes, let's skip back through. Talk about some more Martin McCoy art.
It's
tarot.
Yeah, sorry, Dave.
Oh no, I was going to say
another way. Bill helped put this whole event together. It was the Wier's like baby, and Bill kind of helped facilitate it. And I think Bill has been really done a lot of interesting things when he's running events for me to like kind of push the immersion of and just like find little ways to bring you in a little bit more. Like the invitation to the event, it was mailed out to us in like aged paper, and then it's stamped with a wax seal, and it's all like in lore invitation. And there's just something about like elevating those little moments to bring you into it. Yeah, like that. It's just so cool and gratifying. And one of the other ways he was thinking about doing it was using a tarot deck, the Emperor's Tarot, which is talked about sometimes in 40K, as a way of determining scenarios and who you're playing against. And he had asked me if I would be able to paint some stuff for it. So I worked on 13 decks, and then for 13 cards, and we printed out these decks and gifted them to everybody who came. And we used them in the game for the final boss. And it was just it's a really gratifying way to try and flesh out visions of the world, to make it feel like it's this cathedral world that's obsessed with religion, as all of 40K is, and the grimness of it, and prognosticating, and just another way of like getting to see the same thing from a different angle and hold it in your hand. And that was really a really cool way to keep pushing the envelope of like, how can we have another event and do something a little bit different this time? And those are if you're interested, those are on my Patreon for free. Anybody's welcome to download them and print them out for yourself. And I have like a suggestion of a card company you could print through, because I don't want to, it's not like a big enough tarot deck right now to mail or sell, but I think it's a fun idea if somebody's like in Germany or Australia and they want to use it, that you can just print them off, or you can use them as a component of a game, or you can use them to tell the grimmest future imaginable. It's not going to be positive.
Yeah. But yeah, that is one thing. Having physical artifacts and such can really elevate kind of world building and get people creative and have new interesting ideas and how to incorporate that into games that you're playing. And I think we're all pretty creative people and all bring kind of different things to the table. So it's fun to be able to keep your mind open and primed for opportunities when they come up to change or shift what's happening in a game and not be so beholden or fixed to a particular rule set and just be flexible, more like, I guess, what you might imagine to a more traditional RPG and such. And I think it can help elevate things you're doing. And yeah, Martin's tarot cards, I think, really helped with that. And it was just sort of a nice artifact and a souvenir just to go away with and maybe use for future things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the next thing I've got to show here is a little bit of a teaser. It's a little bit of a sneak peek. Occasionally we do that on the show, where we show things that I'm not supposed to. But so this is a piece that that Martin has done for 28 Collected, and we have we're lining up a stretch goal for a little bit later in the campaign to allow us to fund a gatefold with it. So again, something that within that artifact, there's another sort of cool treasure to explore. So we're hoping that we can get to that stage. But it is this piece, this wonderful kind of processional.
Yeah, big old processional. Wow, I'm surprised how much work I have in this in the magazine.
It's a lot.
And in this presentation. It's really cool to like sit down and see it.
You put a lot of effort and a lot of yourself into a lot of the volumes, and I think your artwork is certainly very recognizable, and it feels very much a part of the 28 magazine in general.
Thank you. That really means a lot. It's been a very positive and wonderful experience being a part of it, and I sort of can't help myself. And Alexander like pitches me something. He's like, would you want to do this? I'm like, I don't know if I have time, but yeah, okay. I definitely want to do that. That sounds great. This was awesome. It was really fun. It's like one of the biggest paintings I've done. I've done maybe one bigger painting to completion. It's actually behind me. Right here.
Is it on canvas?
No, it's a wood paneling.
Okay.
That's cool.
It just let me jam a ton more detail in there and layer up a bunch of paint and washes and just get nasty repeatedly.
Do you have a favorite character amongst that procession, or does it change over time? I could see it sort of changing.
I think it's the monarch himself, like the big stately king figure.
Mm-hmm.
He's like surrounded by these 4 floating tumors, and he has a big tumor scepter and the like big plague arm and his ermine cloak.
Are they any way related to your cult? Your cult from the Vestarian event?
You know, I thought about it, but no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that my cult in Vestarian was about a bunch of colonists or like outer rim weirdos finding a growth virus, like a gene virus that unlocked human growth and didn't stop and made them ageless and kind of prone to regeneration. And maybe I just think about growth a lot and I like body horror. But I think this was more an exploration of like a fixation of growth in my own life, of artistically and trying to push myself, and how it can be something wonderful and that I love, but also it can become pretty unhinged, that I struggle sometimes to relax or unwind and stop working. and I like it was originally created as an homage to John Blanche, and I was listening to some interviews by him where he was talking about like the emotionality of his work, and I really wanted to put something more personal in this, and that like freakish obsession with more, I think also really speaks to where we're at as a society kind of right now. It just feels like it's more attention, it's more wealth, it's more something all the time, and getting to like put that on the canvas was cool.
Yeah,
and try and convey it through the freakiest little freaks I can think of.
Just going to say Andrew Ryan Bailey, who's joined us in the chat, and says, "I love a good tumor scepter."
Yeah, I've never seen one before, but it turns out I love a good tumor scepter too.
Yep.
We had been talking. I think I asked Alexander and Dave both, like, do you think? I had thought maybe those floating orbs were going to be servo skulls or just like skulls with scrolls on them. Like, is that too close? Will we get in trouble with Games Workshop? And they were like, maybe. And then I was like, well, what if they're just fleshy lumps?
Those are spore mines. Those are spore mines.
No.
I think they're fatty gross.
Yeah, I think they are. That's cancer, god damn it.
Oh no. It's metastasizing outside of the body now. This is awful.
Floating, yeah. That's pretty bad.
I wouldn't want to run into that, that's for sure.
I didn't think there was a stage 5 cancer, but apparently this is what it was.
Yeah. It's like
it's when you're surrounded by orbs, yeah.
Don't like that.
So I'm really excited we're going to be able to put this into the book in that cool. Well, obviously it's going to be a stretch goal, so hopefully we'll make it, but in that cool sort of format. I haven't. So I've published 15 books so far, and in none of them I had a gatefold. This will be my first gatefold. So
yeah, can you explain what a gatefold is for anybody who doesn't know?
No, I couldn't. I don't know how to explain it. I'm having a back and forth with my printer about how it needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
He's told me, like, here's how you set up the file, and I'm like, okay, cool. I understand that, but I don't understand where you want me to put it, where it fits in with the rest of the signatures, the rest of the 16 sections.
Yeah.
16-page sections. I understand that. I've been working with that for like 30 years. How this gatefold goes in, I don't quite understand yet. So,
but it's when it like opens up and like a page has a hinge to it, and there's like
folds outward.
I'm going to go back to this. This one for a sec. So so you have the book. The book opens, and then from this page, this might open again.
Yeah. Okay.
Open a third time, depending on the size of the gatefold.
Ooh.
So it's just something that's adds a little bit more sort of impressive stature to it, but just present it differently. So for that one, would have a fold out. So on the two right pages would be the artwork, and then there could be a description of the artwork. There could be a story about how you made it. There could be
stage 5 cancer.
It could be,
it's basically a centerfold. It's basically a centerfold that doesn't have to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is going to be pretty wild to work on.
Well, it's cool you're pushing yourself to add some new things to your book design and such. That's nice. But yeah, I guess it's wonderful that, and Adam mentioned it earlier, that I think 28's really pleased that we can work with you, someone who has so much experience with it, because I think part of why it has been delayed so long with this idea of putting out the printed version was just finding the expertise to do it, because all of us in 28 are not, like, it's not our full-time thing, so it's like it can be hard to put a lot of additional effort into other things, and it's nice to be in such good hands with someone who is also so passionate with this community and the miniature hobby and wargaming and so forth.
Yeah. No, I'm super honored to be part of this project and being able to do that, to apply my passion and my love of creating not only miniatures but creating books about miniatures. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Like initially, like when we first talked about it, I was like, okay, cool. So you already have all of those articles done. They're all in PDF form. We can just take those PDFs and just print from that.
Not quite.
Nothing's ever so simple.
No, because over the years, all of the everything's been done for an online presentation.
Yeah.
A little technical fun. Basically, your monitor is typically at images you see online are typically around 72 DPI dots per inch. Printed products, magazines, books, that kind of thing, box sets, that sort of stuff, are printed at 300 DPI. So you can have an image that is 1,000 pixels wide, and on a computer screen it might appear to be this big. But when you go to print it, it's going to be this big. If you want it to not look pixelated. So going through all of the articles, it was, and when you're creating a PDF to put online, you don't really have to worry too much about that resolution of the pieces, as long as it's higher than what the screen needs to see. So sometimes the images were 96 DPI, sometimes they were 254 DPI, sometimes they were 900 DPI. So I had to go through and adjust a whole bunch of images over the last 8 months. But
yeah, no, I'm glad you were able to do that, because then it was something also, like, being that the magazine, it has kind of gone through stages with all 6 issues that have been, or volumes that have been released so far. Like, new people come in, people go, and generally we have gotten, I think, better and better at it, and have a better sense of vision of how we want to present it and do things. So, like, I think even in that sense, going back to some of the older articles, like, maybe there was more work that had to be done. But yeah, so I'm glad someone with such a keen eye could look over that and unify all of them. I mean, I guess with that said, even with the first issue, I think it was released, still had a pretty unified and solidified vision of what it wanted to be, but it still has kind of evolved over time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned at the start of the show that I had a couple of photos of things that I'd painted this week.
Yeah.
So we'll pull those up. So the first one is this. This is the Scripture Guardian. So during the Trench Crusade campaign, Kickstarter campaign last year, that ran October, November, we worked with the Trench Crusade team to create a character in the Trench Crusade world that represented 28 magazine. And Mike and Boris came up with this wonderful character, the Scripture Guardian. And this was basically, during that campaign, it was given away as a free STL to everybody who backed the campaign. I think in the future, on their My Mini Factory page, this should be available as a purchasable STL, I think, the way that's going to work. We wanted to do like a reciprocal thing. So during this campaign for 28 Collected, we have, again, this is another thing I shouldn't be showing anybody, but don't tell anyone. So in a few days, we'll probably release these images to the public, but this guy.
Oh, cool.
This guy is the combat biologist. Again, another fantastic piece by Mike Francina on the left there. It's been realized in miniature form. And,
That's what a biologist looks like in my mind too.
yeah.
That will be available on the Kickstarter as an STL.
So yeah, this will be a stretch goal. We'll probably announce the stretch goal on tomorrow evening or Thursday.
Cool.
And yeah, if we reach that level, everybody who backs the campaign will get this as an STL.
Which towards that, and since we've just been recording this here, we've now doubled or exceeded doubling the funding goal, so that's fun.
Hey,
Nice.
that's great.
Excellent. So absolutely fantastic. Thank you everybody who has supported the project.
Yeah, no, couldn't do it without y'all.
But yeah, so I think so tomorrow morning I'm going to put up some stretch goals. We've got things that improve the quality of the book. So ribbon bookmarks. Another thing that I'm going to be trying that I haven't done before is a spot gloss varnish on the cover.
Cool.
That doesn't mean spots of gloss varnish. That means that particular areas are hit with the gloss varnish. So to enhance them in a particular way. So that'll be fun to work on that as well. And yeah, so very exciting stuff. All good. Do we want to have a quick look now at some cool community miniatures?
Absolutely. That would be great.
Yep. Excellent. So let me go through that fun presenting process again. There we go. This one. Share. Okay, so all of these photos come from our Facebook group, the Build Paint Play community Facebook group, linked in the notes below. So if you want to go and check that out, there'll be typically more photos in each post, but we're always happy to take a look out.
Nice.
Fantastic.
So Alan's making some resin bases in his house.
Yeah, so Alan,
I really like his Lego resin barrier he has built.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Those look terrific.
Yeah, Alan and his ex-partner used to actually have a resin-based company out of New Zealand. But so yeah, these are some that he's pulled out of the archives and sort of embellished a little bit, but he's putting these together for Trench Crusade.
They look really good.
That's fun.
Yeah. Definitely some good stuff there. I'm not sure. I'm guessing this is like, to be honest, I'm not even sure what these containers are doing.
It's probably the two different sets of the chemicals to make the two-part, if it's two-part resin.
It could be.
I mean, I guess he's just showing his work, which is nice. So,
or the other thing it might be is this could be a flat sheet of acrylic that he's sort of pushing down on the back so that the bottom.
Oh yeah, maybe those are.
That's what that looks like to me. Yeah. Or it's always nice to see more people doing like their own casting and everything. That's kind of another hobby in and of itself. But a lot of it, with a little bit of effort, you can do a lot of really cool stuff with it to really sort of enhance your hobby or like kind of promote it and like let other people use some of what you've been working on. So that's very cool.
I was going to ask Dave if they ever gave you their weapon set.
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of little tiny weapons that I have converted over the years, and we've cast them to give out to people if people are interested in giving their Warhammer 40,000 miniatures more properly scaled weapons.
The tiniest, nicest looking little weapons you've ever seen.
Yeah,
they are indeed beautiful.
To me, they're wildly delicate.
Yeah, but it as Adam said, it is cool to see more people doing casting and stuff like this, particularly, and it seems like a very analog thing. Like a lot of old things become new and exciting again. Vinyl records, film photography, and even stuff like this in the advent of 3D printing. 3D printing is so like easy and ubiquitous, and it's neat to see people are still exploring this idea of using, like, creating silicone molds and using resin and whatnot. Because I don't know, I feel I much prefer more typical resin for like working on miniatures and stuff. Like, you don't have to, I mean, sure, you might still have to clean up mold lines a bit and such, but you don't have innumerable little gates that you might not recognize until you've primed them.
I hear you. Alan's actually jumped in the chat. He said it's not for Trench Crusader, for Cyberpunk Red.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
They look really cool, Alan.
But he did say yeah, that's what the weights are for. So that's good.
Yeah, they look really good.
Fantastic. Next up, Chris Gorka.
Boss.
So Chris painted up the what's the name of the Shatterpoint set?
This is probably We Don't Need Their Scum.
All right.
I believe it. So it's Boba Fett, Dengar, IG-88, and Bosk.
Bosk. Yeah.
They look great.
Yeah, that Bosk like pose is so cool. That's really well painted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah, Chris always does. Well, typically does very sort of desaturated schemes with a pop of color. So having that that bright suit on Bosk there is great.
Yeah, especially a yellow.
Yeah, right.
I love yellows and oranges, but yellow could be tough. You did a terrific job.
Yeah,
the smoke and whatnot from the little jetpack also looks very good.
Yeah, I think the way that the sort of the fire goes through, you can still see it. You can feel it's there behind the smoke. It's
yeah, it's good.
Well done, Chris. Nice work.
These are sick.
And Chris also shared these today.
Oh yeah,
he's doing these. He's doing these for my buddy Ray. So
right.
Ray came up with a scheme, and Chris did these for him. They look amazing. Like, I was like, "How much stuff are you giving Chris?" He's like, "Oh, I have a whole bunch of stuff I'm sending to him." I was like, "Awesome! I'm sure Chris is psyched about it."
Those are tremendous. Wow, those are
always nice to see some more vampires, right?
And that giant John Blanche hair.
Yeah, that I was gonna say. I really actually appreciate the bluish black of her hair. Like, looks really good. That can be sort of a tricky thing to nail, and it reads really well.
Yeah. Dave Hummel said so. Chris, we showed off a piece that Chris had painted for Dave Hummel last week, and he said keep doing this and lining up more models for him as well.
David Hummel's taking out a second mortgage on his house so he can just send his 27,000 points of Space Marines to Chris.
Yep. But they look great. Nice work, Chris. Excellent. Clive Mills.
These little creepy spawns. They're great.
Yeah, they do look kind of wild. The one on the left here with that does have the huge eye. But I can almost imagine just a little bit of putty across the top there, a little bit of putty work down the front here, and you got a really crazy sort of almost Rackham Goblin kind of look.
I think those are Nothics. Yeah,
Okay.
I think those are Nothics.
Noptics.
Nothic, Nothic. They're a D&D monster. I think he's using them as demons, but I think those are Nothics.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I like the green a lot. It is very striking, and I can sort of almost imagine you turning out the lights and you just still seeing the green of the eye and whatnot would be very cool.
Excellent. Jake, Dave Hummel just said 27,000 points. Oh, please, if I only had that.
I guess he'll have to take out a third mortgage.
Yeah. And Cal has said yes, not thanks. Speaking of Dave Hummel, here are some rhinos that he's working on at the moment.
Well, that's a lot of
many.
Oh, yeah.
So
ridiculous.
Those look awesome.
And shit, I would have glued them shut so I wouldn't have to deal with the insides.
I'm assuming he's painting the doors a different color. That's
yeah.
You can always glue them on afterwards.
Yeah, Dave can let us know in the chat, but we'll see where the doors are coming along a little bit later. But yeah, I don't think he's painting the insides.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
That's strictly a Dave Taylor move.
Yeah. I know like for one vehicle of each type. Because if you want to see what it looks like on the inside, you've got one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he built them to change them out for a Rhino or Razor. That's
so you can swap the
honestly.
tops. You can either give him a Rhino flat top or the Razorback.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Good idea there, Dave. Very cool. Looking good. Next up. Oh,
Hey, it's Dave Taylor.
yeah, that's the Scrooge Guardian again. And I painted this one as well with my with the John Blanche paint set. So,
No, that
That's
makes
great.
sense.
That's
It
perfect.
does
like
have that palette.
pieces.
That mud texture you've got going on.
Yeah, that is. Where's the bottle for that? I can't find it. Oh no, there it is. European. European Vallejo.
Nice.
European mud, of course.
European mud, yeah.
It's different. It's
I
different.
see it.
Continental about it.
It smells like cheese. But yeah, it's a great model. So if you get the opportunity to print out one of these, they look wonderful. Jonathan Palomo is taking a break from painting Space Wolves and is working on his Caradron Overlords.
I thought you said this is a commission.
Pardon? Did you say this?
You said this is a commission.
Oh, okay. No, I thought this was what he was going to bring to Adepticon next year.
I don't think so. I thought he said this is a commission for somebody. He's trying to get back. He's trying to get back all the pieces so we can do a photo of the whole army.
Oh, okay. Radio.
Oh,
Cool.
That looks terrific. Those,
Yeah, they look awesome. Like that's the classic paint scheme right off the box. Those are cool. I like the purple and all the purple and the brass and the black.
Yep. I love all of those lenses.
Yeah,
The
the
blue
bobble.
lenses look very striking to me.
Yeah, he's done a great job there, picking them all out. Love it. Yeah, nice work, Jonathan. But yeah, I would like to be keeping this army if I was painting it. Excellent. Kelly Rowe.
Oh
painted
my
up
gosh,
Archer.
look at this cute
Nice.
little fellow.
Beep, boop.
Archer's great.
Yeah. Talk about a non-combat unit.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, he has his little shock prod thing, and
True.
A little. He has like a welding.
They would be perfect for picking apples too, I bet.
Yeah, they'd be into it.
I think so. But yeah, looks great there, Kelly. Very obvious as to who he is. Excellent. Luis.
he's getting there. He's almost done with the squad.
Almost done with the squad. Had a quiet week last week. It's coming back with a vengeance. So looking really good.
Yeah, the black looks really nice. Very nice, subtle edge highlights there that don't distract. Like it still reads as black.
Yeah.
It has some nice definition there. And I don't know, it can be pretty hard. It can be very easy to like overdo the edge highlighting. But this is very nice.
Yeah. Looking good there. Nice one, Luis. Nathan Sorensen.
His little was his Stargrave Bazaar he's got going on.
Yep. We saw sort of a close-up shot of some of his traders last week, but this week he's also.
Yeah, wow, they're great.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, they've got a very sort of I guess Dune
Mobius look to them.
populace of Arakeen kind of feel.
Are those official Stargrave miniatures? Does anybody know?
I know he did put it in the group, but I
really like them.
Yeah, those are great. And
The
I like
bases look great too, honestly. Like all the little, they look like they're right out of the desert.
And the scene you've set, like the backdrop and all the terrain, is really cool.
Yeah,
really helps locate them.
Absolutely. I love that the limited palette there as well, but having that sort of that nice pop of sort of that turquoise kind of teal on there in some of them. Looks great. There we go. Oh, it says these are Maker's Cult.
Okay.
They look great.
Yeah.
Awesome work there, Nathan. Excellent. And just as we have Patrick Keith in the chat, Patrick's also been working on some more of his Eldar.
Yeah, the scorpions are great. Like that super vibrant green. That's just awesome.
Mhm.
That seems so classic, striking scorpions.
It does.
Iconically striking scorpions.
Yeah, those look really cool. Really vibrant and popping.
So I think these are from the Kill Team set.
Yeah, that's the way they get scorpions now. You just buy the kill team. What is it? Cane's Shrine. It's like I don't know what they're called, but it's a really nice set. The new scorpion sculpts are great. All the new aspect warriors look amazing.
Cool. Patrick said he just finished them yesterday, so pics will go up in the Facebook group tomorrow.
Nice.
So we'll show those next week as well. But yeah, definitely cool.
Yeah, Blades of Cain. There you go.
Blades of Cain. Nice. Yeah, they look great. Nice work, Patrick.
Yeah, all the new. There's so much detail in all the new aspect warriors. Like I would just do a Zenithal Prime and then just like pick the appropriate speed paint and just like layer the shit on it. They'll look like $1 million.
Yep, absolutely. Next up, Scott.
Hey, I know that guy.
Hello there.
Nice.
Movie.
Really nice, like texturing and stuff on the robes and everything. I really particularly like that detail.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
Chris Gorka has a really cool trick that he does on lightsabers, and they always look insane. They look like little lightsabers. Like I don't know how he does it. I know he does a white undercoat, and he always leaves a little bit of white by the hilt, but I don't know how he does his layering right because they look seamless. Like they look crazy.
Yeah.
This has a nice cast shadow from the lightsaber, like right below his chin.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And man.
Ooh.
Stupid. Okay, trying to not get it to move on. But yeah, just under on the white panels of his armor here.
Yeah. You can see it on the shoulder plate too.
Yep, just
enough, and it's great because it's so subtle.
Yeah,
like a little bit of that kind of OSL type effect can go a long way, but it's not overdone to like the point of almost like parody. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that looks great. And Chris Walker said that his lightsaber painting is just wizard stuff.
Nice. I mean, that's what I would expect. So
yeah. Excellent. And Alan says, Scott, love the subtle OSR from the set.
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay. I think he meant OSL, but yes.
Revival RPG.
Is this Rocksteady? Where's Bebop? What's going on?
Looks like, yeah, that's sick.
It does look like that.
This is really fun.
I also like the backdrop too, like the painted backdrop. It kind of really adds a lot of character to the whole presentation of the model.
Well, one thing that you like is that so Stephen basically once he's finished like a paint session, he'll go and create a fun backdrop from his palette paper.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's
a good idea.
That's a fun way to use that.
Sometimes he'll add a little bit extra. So this particular one, it's kind of
that's awesome.
Turn into this. So that's what's behind.
It's a good idea.
That's cool.
Nice.
So just a fun little aspect. But so this is the new one. So his I guess the models that we'll see for the next week or next couple of weeks will be in front of this this backdrop. But yeah, definitely fun stuff there, Stephen. All good. Nice. And I think that might be it. So yeah, let's run us back to this. Jake's currently thinking, oh my God, what? Because that's normally where we'd say, here's what we're doing next week on the show.
That's true.
But I have been so swamped. Haven't had a chance to talk with Jake. We haven't had a chance to line up exactly what we're doing next week. But after the show, we'll have a quick chat and we'll work it out.
That's right. That's why we do it live. It's part of the joy of doing the show is that it's unscripted. So
yes.
Well, while we've been talking, you guys broke 51.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
you've more than doubled your goal. That's awesome. And you got 2 weeks to go. So hopefully you guys continue to kick butt. It was awesome having you guys on. Like Martin, Eric, Adam, thank you guys for being here. It was really cool having you guys here and be able to go over all this stuff and kind of see all the work you guys have been putting in on the back end and helping keep the hobby alive. So in 40 years, when somebody digs through the rubble of our civilization and they find this book, what's this book? 28. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You guys have saved it for after the electromagnetic pulse wipes out all electronics. Like they'll still get a copy of all this stuff recorded somewhere.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
What's next for you guys? Are you guys doing any like shows or any like big events coming up, like Adepticon, anything like that?
I'm not sure if we'll go to Adepticon, but I know in May, there's Under the Dice Fest is happening, run mainly by kind of some of the Hive Scum crew, their podcast, where they'll have the New England Mordheim Open will happen there. So
Nemo.
I'm sure, Nemo. Well, at the very least, I'll go to that because lots of cool people that kind of like this sort of skirmish style wargaming and stuff. So it certainly encouraged people to, I guess, listen to the Hive Scum podcast and look into that. And if you have been wondering or considering trying to start up and play Mordheim, it would be a great place to do it.
Yeah, last year's Under the Dice Fest was awesome. Like they had a whole bunch of different bands came to play at it as well. You could get tattoos. Like it was
where did this happen? Where is this?
It was in
Chicopee, Mass, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, because I'm in Mass. My store's in Quincy.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So yeah, it's probably like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, I know where Chicopee is. When I was a kid, I went out. There used to be an awesome store in Springfield, the Chicopee, called the Dragon's Lair. It doesn't exist anymore, but like it was a huge gaming store for like most of the 80s, most of the 90s, and then I think they closed. But yeah, I used to go out to a D&D convention that was out in Chicopee all the time. So
yeah, it's very cool.
Check it out. You should think about coming. I think I'm also not going to make it to Adepticon. I don't think I can swing it this year, but I think I'll be at Under the Dice. It's like a little bit easier via train and driving for me to get up there.
Yeah, well, when it gets closer, poke Dave and I will figure something out. If maybe
for sure.
Yeah,
we can pop out. Dave, well, so we don't. Normally I would talk about next week and figure out what we're gonna do, but we won't do that. So,
Sure.
do you got anything else, Dave? Or are we good?
No, I think so. Other things we're going to cover. So once again, thanks very much to the Army Painter for being our season sponsor for season 6. We're super excited about that. We talked a lot about 28 Collected tonight. Link down below to the Kickstarter. Go and check that out. Join almost 800 other people. Actually, no, it'd be over 800 now. 860.
I think it is.
It is almost 850.
Almost 850 people who pledged. So very cool. Join that and you'll get to see the stretch goals that I put in tomorrow and other things that we're going to do during the course of the campaign. That is it for me. After the show, my head is going to explode, but I'm Eric.
I don't want that.
Hang out in the studio here after our intro. We'll come back to you and Jake and I have a quick chat, that kind of fun stuff. But
all right, Dave, if you're ready to go, thanks again, everybody. Thanks for being here, guys. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Share this wherever you can. Hopefully, we will be able to continue growing. Looking forward to next week. And as always, do not forget to build, paint, play.
Heck yeah.
Shut up and sit down.